Revived three strikes sentencing law takes effect. I am disheartened how little the mainstream media did on this tonight, especially. I didn't watch 3 News, but I've had a look for their highlights. Couldn't see anything. 1 News had nothing, but they did cover it at 6:01 a.m. this morning. Brilliant. The revived three strikes law has come into force, targeting repeat offenders of serious, violent, and sexual crimes with progressively harsher penalties. This is something very, very, very important to remember, because I will show you some examples shortly of what happens as people who are not serious, violent, or sexual criminals get caught up in this. It's one of the biggest issues with the three strikes law. I've got some examples from a Stuff article, which I'll show you in a sec. Associate Justice Minister Nicole McKee said those who committed serious, violent, or sexual offences should expect to face increasingly severe consequences. The Sentencing Reinstating Three Strikes Amendment Act 2024 reinstated the regime repealed by the Labour government with changes to make the legislation more workable. McKee described it as a centre pillar in the coalition government's law and order program. New Zealanders have had enough. They want safer streets, safer homes, and a justice system that puts victims first. The law's restoration was detailed in the National Act Coalition Agreement. I want to just divert for a second here, Chewie, and tell a story. Now, I'll tell this story, and I'll be very clear that I'm not giving anyone any advice to do this. When I used to work late night talkback radio, you get a lot of old people phoning up, and because apparently they don't sleep well. And I can remember something had happened to me that day, and I lived in West Auckland, and I'd gone out to go into the shops or something, and I was out for an hour, and I came back, and the door was wide open. The front door was wide open. And I thought, and it's really simple. I would have pulled it behind me. It didn't latch on, it blew open. How was the house? House was fine. Door was open for an hour. Had a lady phone up talking to me about I used to live in a neighbourhood where I could sleep with my windows open. And I said to her, what do you think would happen if you slept tonight with your windows open? And she went, nothing. And I went, yeah. Tend to agree. This idea of fear of safer streets, safer homes. I'm not telling people to sleep with their windows open. I'm not telling people to go to shops and leave your doors open, because things do happen. But things happen disproportionately low to how much these kinds of governments want you to think they're happening. If 1,000 houses tonight went to bed with their front door closed but unlocked, I was going to say one will get robbed. Probably none would get robbed, but let's say one would get robbed. Now, when you're the one, we've talked about this before about anecdotal evidence versus data, it's the worst thing in the world, and 100% of that one thing has happened to you, which is why I've said I am not telling someone to sleep with your windows open. But the amount of fear that these kinds of governments put into society that is disproportionate to the reality is a cancer in Western society. New Zealanders have had enough. They want safer streets, safer homes, and a justice system that puts victims first. 99.999 recurring percent of streets and interactions and moments that you're out there are perfectly safe, but they want you to be fearful. I've mentioned this before, that documentary Bowling for Columbine, where they went to South Central Los Angeles where Rodney King was beaten, and it was a lovely leafy street, and they talked about violent crime was trending down, and then there was a professor that Mike, whatever his name was, Michael, what's his name who made that documentary? Big round dude, whatever his name was. Chat will tell me in a sec. Michael Moore said, asked them the question, and the professor or the expert said, yeah, but coverage of violent crime has gone up 600%.
Yeah. I was just going to say.
And that's it. That's it.